I'm old enough to have been through a lot of elections. And when a certain party loses, uh, among that group there's always tears and crying and anger. It's normal. But I've never, of all the elections that I've witnessed, I have never seen tears of this nature. Muslims and other ethnic groups, they're crying because they feel they no longer are wanted in this country. They no longer have a place within our society. That big lady standing in New York Harbor, called the Statue of Liberty, means absolutely nothing. But the words on it mean absolutely nothing. Spanish, Latino, Mexicans, they're crying because they now fear that they're going to be pulled over in their cars, or there's going to be a knock on the door, and they're going to be put on a bus or a train and shipped out of the country. Their children are crying because they're afraid that there's going to be a knock on the door and their mommy and daddy are going to be taken away from them. Black people are crying because they know that one of the main influences in Donald Trump's campaign was a guy named Steve Bannon, which is the head of Breitbart News, which is a extreme right-wing platform for white supremacy. And they know that he is now going to be a major influence in Donald Trump, with Donald Trump. Parents are crying because their kids, because of the Trump effect, are afraid they're going to be bullied in school, or their kids are going to be subject to mean tweets and mean things said about them because of their race or their ethnic background or because of the way they look. Because now our president, who had cyberbullying down to a science, it's all okay. So parents are crying that their kids are going to be subject to all that now. Parents are crying, kids are crying because they're going, Mommy, Daddy, will I ever even be able to grow up in a world, because Donald Trump, now our president, he seems to be very willing to just let nuclear missiles just fly whenever he feels like that's appropriate. Is he going to blow up the world? These kids are already having nightmares and bad dreams around these kinds of things. Parents are crying because they know now there's going to be a much greater chance that they're going to get that phone call from their kid's school saying there's been a mass shooting. Because now any hope of having any reasonable gun laws are now going to be thrown out the window. Women are crying because they know that as soon as Donald Trump appoints his Supreme Court justices, that there's a very likely chance that Roe versus Wade will be overturned. That means that women will no longer have a say in what happens to their own bodies. Women are crying because they feel now that it's less, that if they stand up against sexual assault, if they've been sexually abused or sexually assaulted, that now their word doesn't mean anything. Because now their president says it's okay to do that. So they feel like they have less of a voice now than they had before. People with disabilities are now crying because they now know they're probably going to be subject to more people making fun of them and saying mean, nasty things to them, because our new president did that. So a lot of people are going to think that's okay. That is so very, very sad, all in itself. Gays are crying because even though they're now protected by certain laws, because of our now Vice President Mike Pence, who has a horrific record against gay people and the homosexual community, they now feel that they are no longer considered, that their rights, even though they may be protected by law, that their rights are not really respected, because they're certainly not respected by the majority of conservative Americans and Mike Pence. The many, many, many supporters of Barack Obama are crying because they know that this president is a good man. They know he has a good wife and a good family. And they know that he cares a lot about this country, and he cares about every group of people in this country, no matter what the color of their skin is, or what their race is, or what their ethnic background is, that he cares about them. They know in their hearts what a good president he has been. Flaws, mistakes, yes, as everybody makes, but he's been an incredible president. And now everything that he's done and fought so hard for is now going to be just completely wiped off the slate. Hollywood is crying because they no longer have a friend in Washington. Conservative Republicans have a pathetic and pitiful track record in supporting the creative arts in Hollywood. The millions of people that now have health care who never had it before in their life are now crying because they know that when Obamacare gets repealed, they no longer are going to have that health care, and they're going to be without health coverage. I'm crying because of all the above reasons. I'm crying because I've always been a avid supporter and a great believer in creative self-expression. And I know that under the Trump administration, especially when he nominates or puts into place his Supreme Court justices, that freedom of self-expression, creative self-expression, is going to be limited to one narrow viewpoint, and that is of Christian right-wing conservatives. And I am personally a victim of that because I used to have my own talk show here, which was canceled for that very reason. That the right-wing Christian management that came in and took over the network, they did not approve of my creative self-expression. So I greatly believe that that is going to be in danger. It's a sad, sad day for America and a tragic blow to human rights. I can't sum it up any better than a British newspaper this morning's headlines read, "My God, America, what have you done?"